This is the show about the people who create, amplify, and influence our culture and how they do it. Want to capture lightning in the bottle? Want your content to spread like wildfire? I'm Ben Kaplan, and let's break the internet. Welcome to Break the Internet. I'm chatting with Justin Flom. And Justin, you are a prolific, I guess, content creator now. I'm talking about, 21 million followers on YouTube, 9.4 million on TikTok. You regularly get over 1 billion views in a month as your sort of baseline. First of all, how did you sort of have this magician turned social media creator presence? How did you get here? And did you imagine you'd be doing this with your life right now?
Ben, thank you. Prolific is my favorite word. So to have it applied to me is the coolest thing ever. And it is not lost on me because I want a mountain of material. I just want the most material possible. And the journey from magician to whatever I am now is just based off of so desiring a large audience to entertain. That's just what I want. When I was doing magic, the goal was, how do I get to arenas? Because that was the most fun thing I ever did, was doing magic in arenas, opening for these bands, Florida Georgia Line and Thomas Rhett, these giant country music superstars. I got to host their concert show with magic tricks with this just 20,000 people out there. It was amazing. And now on social media, I was doing magic and getting the 20,000 people watching with magic. But then when you expand beyond magic and start to look at the data of what people are actually watching, I was like, oh, I can do that. Like I can come up with creative ideas there. So then it really went beyond magic into home renovation and cooking and cool mechanics, engineering, building a secret passageway, or just really silly ideas like putting a foam pit in your house. So that's where everything is now. And the transition to it was all based on what's the audience watching and where do I find them where they're at?
And it's interesting because, people have asked you, when you have, some, content you've created that I think I think 1 year, the second most watched content on TikTok, I think, when you're doing things at that level, people assume that you are a great manipulator of the algorithm. Like, how to make the algorithm bend to your will and show your Iron Man painting to everyone because you know how to do it. You've cracked the code and the formula. You actually say that's not the case. It's the opposite of that. What do you mean by that?
I don't manipulate the algorithm. I let it manipulate me. Now, first of all, algorithm, big scary word. Like, what is it? Is it a bunch of ones and zeros and knobs and switches? No, the algorithm is just people. Okay. I think I heard Mr. Beast say that famously. Just anytime you hear the word algorithm, replace it with audience or people, and that'll give you what it is. Because the tough truth that I've given other entertainers, because a lot of entertainers are coming from stage and they want to come online and they go, hey, I got this video. How do I get people to watch it? The rough secret is the only way people will watch your video is if people watch your video. What? That's not helpful, Justin. No, the point is it's all watch time based. If the first viewer isn't finishing that video, then it's not going to see a second viewer. And that's just the way that it works. It's such a hard concept to grasp for the older generations, including myself, because, I've got YouTube videos from 17 years ago that you would not understand the strategy behind what I was doing, posting these things, because there was no strategy. I was just like, oh, this is a clever idea. I'll put it up and go viral. No, but there is a calculated way where anybody can go viral. And that's because of this wonderful, amazing invention called the swipe feed. That is the best thing ever, because when that algorithm is pure and just looking at what are people engaging with, then you can hack that algorithm. And hack is a rough word there, but really what you're doing is you're just creating something that everyone wants to engage with. And then you end up at the top of the feed. And that's what I've done for the last 4 or 5 years. And I've been very lucky to be at the top of those.
And what is the difference between something that is say interesting, but doesn't get, you know, I don't know, 10 million views like you're sawing a baby in half, but is interesting. And it might be like, wow, but it doesn't capture people. Like, what is the difference between that? Because there's a lot of people who like make interesting stuff, but it doesn't have the life on social.
It's a great example. So sawing a baby in half. Okay, we got 10 million views on YouTube, which is not nothing. But over on the other platform where there's a swipe feed, there is 200 million views on that video. Okay, so what's happening here? Well, in a swipe feed, watch time is king. And in the YouTube main, we're going to look at, it's going to be thumbnail and title. Well, now it's got a banger thumbnail and title. There's a baby cut in half, and it's called Sawing a Baby in Half. So it's going to get 10 million clicks. Awesome. However, over on the other side, on the swipe feed,
we're talking TikTok here. I know you're not saying, but we were talking TikTok, correct?
Yeah. At this time, it was actually Facebook. At this time, this is an early Facebook video. But yeah, anything with a swipe feed. Thank you for clarifying. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. These are swipe feeds where you have to stop the scroll. So all of my ideas now, I've got ideas on the board that we're not going to do right now because we don't have an opening shot. We've got this killer Die Hard painting where it's going to look like Bruce Willis is coming out of the vent with the lighter, just that iconic shot. But we don't have an opening shot right now. So it's been on the board for 6 months. It's still on the board. We've got everything for it. We just don't know how to open it. And we're not going to do it until we can open that video with something that's eye-catching.
So people listening or watching can understand, what is the opening shot you're looking for? What is something else where you didn't know the opening shot and then you got it? What makes a great opening shot if you're in this kind of swipe?
Mystery. We need, so check this out. You want to drop some gold? Here's the gold.
Okay. I got my buckets out, Justin. I'm ready for the gold. Here we go.
I coined a term in 2020 called barrier to exit. All right. We all know barrier to entry, but barrier to exit is how hard is it for someone to leave what you're doing? Now, if I'm doing a live show, or let's even say a movie theater, pretty high barrier to exit. You drove to the theater, you got a babysitter, you parked, you bought a ticket, you're sitting there, you've had this on the calendar. So that movie would have to suck really bad for you to get up and leave. However, if you're on TikTok, the barrier to exit is 1 inch, just a swipe of that finger, 1 inch, and you're gone. Not only that, we've incentivized that exit because one swipe up and you have the entire history of human knowledge and an algorithm that's going to feed you exactly the dancing blonde girl that you want to see. So people are highly motivated to swipe as soon as they're not into whatever that video is. So I think when a video has 100 million views, that is the metric of people like this. It has to be, because the only explanation is they're watching it. It doesn't get to 100 million unless people are watching it. So the opening shot for me has to make people in themselves go, I care about what's happening. And this is why magic died for me in 2020. Traditional magic, because magic ends extraordinary.
Magic's more about delayed gratification, right? It's more about the punchline.
Right. The beginning of a magic trick is look at this coin, make sure it's normal. Look at this paper bag, make sure it's ordinary. Everything starts ordinary and then will end extraordinary. Well, this is a terrible recipe for something trying to stop a swipe. There's nothing interesting to look at. However, if you can start with the extraordinary, which in magic's case is oftentimes the secret, then you can actually hook them and make them stay to hang out. So my opening shots that I really love are like me upstairs. I chainsawed through my banister, and people swipe up. They see a guy in a house sawing through a nice banister, and they're going, what is he doing? And then every moment in that video should be, first of all, enticing to watch. So it should be oddly satisfying to look at. It's edited to music. It's cool looking. And it should make you go, but why that? but why that? And then as soon as you have the question why, you should want to see it play out. So for this, as soon as you understand the why I cut my banister on the upstairs railing, you go, oh shit, he's going to jump off his balcony. Now we want to see that happen. Then we end up with a high watch time. So anything that goes in between that, if I go, hey everybody, I'm Justin, this is my house. Nope, that cuts watch time, because instantly people start swiping away. So it has to be an opening shot, and I will film multiple opening shots to a piece to see which one works best. So for my painting of the Incredible Hulk bursting through the wall, I had 2 opening shots.
And just to give people a sense of, I mean, this is a video where you make a hole in your wall and say like, oh, what if you had a hole in your wall? What could you do with it? And then you basically kind of spray paint a stencil of the Incredible Hulk, but then there's a fist coming out of the wall and you take people through that. Just if people haven't seen it, that's what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's going to end up with a painting of the Hulk, and it's going to look like his fist is coming out of the wall. The start of it is how to fix a hole in the wall. That's the bit. So I've got to make a hole in the wall. I had 2 ways to do it. I actually had more than that, but these are the 2 ways that got posted. One, I do this crazy fall off a ladder, and the ladder falls into the wall and makes a hole. I was betting on that one. I was like, that's great. Look at that fall. That's crazy. But then the other one was like this Laurel and Hardy bit where I'm going to try and hammer this wall, and in my backswing, I knock a hole in the wall behind me. That won. It won to the tune of 400 million, as opposed to the other one, which got 2 million.
How did you test that? And if you were going to pick, were you actually posting both on the full platform, or were you using some limited audience first to measure this?
The reason I love YouTube is I feel that they are not penalizing you if you're playing around and testing things out. So that was both posted organically right there on the platform.
On YouTube, you went for, and you were trying to use YouTube as a testing ground for what you're going to do on a swipe-driven platform.
Exactly. And then that would because Facebook now will penalize you for breathing. So I don't mess with anything over there until I know what is going to happen. But there's a lot of different ways that you can test. I've heard it called dark posting. I've heard it called a lot of different things. You can even do it on the advertising side, purchase an ad for a video and then figure out if, look at the watch time on it there. But what I'm looking for is how long are people engaging with this video? And if I can't get 60% of the people to finish this video, then I got to go back to the drawing board and redo it. So oftentimes, dozens of times, or even more, there's videos that are not posted because in a test, nobody watched it. Nobody cared. So I go, all right, well, it's not going anywhere. And really what most often happens is we do go back to it. We just refilm it and figure out where we lost people, because you can track all that data. But the reason social media creators don't often do this is they love their content and they're doing the content they want to do. And if, we've heard it from musicians, the radio station goes, hey, we need a radio edit. We need to cut this solo. And the artist goes, no, I'm an artist and that's what's in there. And I'm not an artist. I mean, I know I play one on video, but I just want to entertain people. People are my priority. So if they would enjoy it more, if that guitar solo was cut out, which in this case would be whatever joke or bit was important to me, but not to the audience, I say cut it out. I say put the audience first. That's my opinion. Take
me through the mechanics, as people might look at your content and say, wow, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of thought. And oh crap, Justin is now telling me that I might do all of that work and all of that thought and then be like, nope, it wasn't good enough in terms of serving the audience. And now I got to scrap it and redo it. So how much content do you create? How long does it take?
Don't start with destroying your house, okay? I've got 5 years in the algorithm side of this thing that really educates me to where I go, all right, look, I'm going to drop $10,000 in, I think the trampoline room's 20 grand. Okay, so we got 20 grand into a trampoline room and we don't know if it's going to make its money back. And to me, I go, look, I think this is probably the bit that's going to do really well. We don't have a way to test out a lesser version of it for cheaper. Let's go. Like, I've got the experience to say that. But that is built off of 2020 through 23, where every video I did was free. Like, nothing cost anything. All I was doing was buying a couple smoke bombs and painter's tape, or, just like, I was doing cheap spray paint, cheap stencils, whatever I could do, just to learn, okay, this is how users interact with content. And once you know that, then you really start to learn what sends people swiping and what keeps people engaged. And just yourself, just you, when you're swiping any feed, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Reels on Facebook, whatever, pay attention to what makes you leave. And just stop and go, oh, why did I leave at that point? What did she do or what did he do that made me go, nope, I'm done? My guess would be is that creator communicated to you, we are a long way off from a payoff, and that payoff is not worth the amount of time that it's going to take. That's my guess. And that's what it usually is for me, and the payoff is anything and everything. It could be the end of an arts and crafts piece, or it could also be, the end of it. Like let's look at dancing girls on TikTok. Okay, they built these dances where the thing that you want to see in the dance is at the end. Okay, maliciously they did this because then when it becomes a trend, everyone's watching and they go, no, I know at the end she's going to do that little shaky thing, and I want to see that. And then you sit there and watch the whole thing. I don't know. That's other people's news feeds. My feed doesn't look like that, I swear. So the thing is, you want to everything is just building that content towards they have to see the thing at the end. And oftentimes people don't know that they want to see that thing at the end until the mystery is introduced at the beginning. So that's a mysterious unknown.
What are some biggest mistakes that you think other, content creators make, even successful ones, that have audiences that limit them, that you don't do, that is commonplace that people do, that you think that interrupts and helps them lose audience?
Look, I would never say it's a different game. Okay, so let's say you want to be Logan Paul. Okay, so man, I like watching Logan Paul content. I think it's awesome. Whether you love him or hate him, you watch him. That's what's great about a guy like that. So the mistake, it's not a mistake for him to do this because he's doing a different thing. I know that the job of making people like me and want to watch me just for the reason of me being me is a real uphill battle. But for Logan Paul, he goes, no, that's the end game. I need people to like me. I want people to watch me for me, all of that. So the mistake would be, depending on your goals, if you want to be at the top of newsfeed and you want to make your money from views or brand deals that come from views, then saying your name and looking for brand recognition and talking to the viewers as though they care, that's a mistake. Nobody cares. Just they don't care about anything. And we can see that in our most beloved celebrities stepping into social media and getting less views than the D'Amelio twins or sisters or whatever. Like, how is that possible? We love celebrities. Our culture is obsessed with celebrities. And the answer is the celebrity comes on going, well, obviously, you guys care about what I say. So I'm going to say, oh gosh, swipe. I can't hang out there to hear what you have to say. I don't care. And that's why those videos don't take off. However, if you're Jason Derulo and you understand what's up, then he is playing the game perfectly. He's got great opening shots, great concepts, zero ego, and he's never saying, by the way, I'm Jason Derulo and album out this Thursday. He's not doing any of that. He's going, nope, this is a different game. This is social media, and my job is to just get high watch times, high engagement rates, and let this go and do it's a different thing. And by the result of that is his music has sold more than if he were to just do videos promoting his music.
And who else do you think celebrity-wise gets it? Like, what is your view? I mean, I can throw out a few names for you if there's other ones coming by, but like, what is your view of like, Kim Kardashian, The Rock, other people that have their own distinctive kind of styles and niches?
Yeah, they get it. They get it on the level that they're doing it. Like you can't critique Kim Kardashian. She's a beast. And she knows exactly. Look, she just did the Tom Brady
the roast of Tom Brady, right? Yes.
You know what was epic to me there, and why I know that she's good at social media is the way she's able to ignore the haters. She walked up and was booed. Now you can't really hear it as much
because they edited it out, but in the initial live stream, it wasn't well received in the arena.
And you know what she did? She took it, she ignored it, and she did her thing. And she comes off way better for that. And the same thing is on the comment side. People, celebrities in particular, and artists in general, because I work with a lot of people who are singers, dancers, magicians, and then they do social media. They can't ignore the comments. And I go, guys, you got to look at the numbers here. Okay, it's got 1,000 comments, and let's say all of the comments are negative. I don't care because it's got 10 million views. So the commenters are like 0.001% of the viewer. And again, I don't watch, name the TV show. I don't watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine all the way through unless I like it. I don't get to the end of a series or the end of an episode unless it was engaging me and doing something in me.
So you're saying 1,000 negative comments, but 10 million people getting through to the end, it means it's liked a ton,
yes.
Even though just reading the comments, you'd say, oh, this was hated or something like that.
And now I can see it on the shorts feed with YouTube because the ratio of likes to dislikes is always 96% like 96%. And I meet people, now it's a really fun thing. It used to be grown-ups coming up to me and saying, hey, I like that silly stuff you do online. Now it's kids. YouTube has a lot more kids watching. So I'm getting parents coming up to me. Hi, my daughter says she knows you. And I'm like, what's up? Which video you like? And they all trapdoor, whatever the bit is. So I know that even if there's hate, I know it's not true and I can ignore it. And it would be really bad if I let the comments dictate my content. Oh, that'd be terrible. Commenters, I love people who engage with my content, and I love fans, and I love the people who are fans, but I can't listen to them in terms of what the idea is to do because they're Steve Jobs said it. He doesn't go to the user base to say what new product should we develop, because he said that they would have asked for a faster, big, giant computer. Or I forget exactly what it was, but he was like, nobody was asking for the iPhone. No one was asking for the iPod. So no one on the internet was asking for layered stencil art. They just weren't. They didn't know what that was. I had to go and find that. I had to really crack how to film it. And that was the big thing, was cracking the filming strategy to make that interesting.
We've done the opening, what you need for the opening. Let's do the other two parts of this. The second part is the middle, which could be the most intimidating because people have a sense like, intrinsically, I got to get someone's attention, and maybe the end, they know they got to have some kind of good wrap up, but the middle is daunting because that's like the abyss where you're going to lose people.
The middle, yeah, that's the rule. That's it. You nailed it. The middle is don't lose them. That's it. Now, I know that sounds oversimplifying, but the way to not lose them is to avoid all of these lasers, okay? And those lasers are things like, all right, we're going to do this. Okay, well, that's not present tense, and that says it's coming in the future. Ooh, if you put any time frame, like in 3 minutes, we're going to take this out of the oven. Oh, I'm gone. Just at the terrible risk that maybe you're actually going to take 3 minutes of my time before this thing comes out of the oven. Boop, gone. So you want to stay away from all of these buzzwords that tell people the payoff isn't here yet and it's a ways off. Now, maybe that's okay if the payoff is like the greatest thing they've ever seen and they believe it's going to be the greatest thing they've ever seen. And that's the other important thing. I don't care what the end of your video is, okay? The viewer doesn't know what the end of your video is. This is why magicians suffer. They don't know how impossible the thing is that's coming. So unless you can really communicate it, and not just clearly communicate it, but get the viewer to believe that it's going to be worth it to be until the end, then you're snowed, you're screwed. So the middle part is just don't say anything that's going to send them away. And most importantly, never move backwards, only forwards. Meaning, if I'm doing a painting, this is probably a good way to illustrate it. As the painting is happening, everything should be moving towards revealing that final painting. And where I've ever failed has been something in that process repeated a step. So we did something that we did before and now we're going to do it again. That's not great. Or we were right about to reveal and then I switch tactics. I had a hard time with this Harry Potter painting. Still did double-digit millions, but what would have been, I think, a 100 million hitter, I made a mistake in it, and it's just by metric of where the painting was. So for the listener at home, it's a painting of Harry Potter on a broomstick, and the broomstick is protruding from the wall, 3D, and you can hang your coat on it. Cool. Well, for this to happen, I had to go into the closet behind the wall with a broomstick and shove it through the wall. I lost viewers right there. I lost them because I walked away from the thing they wanted to see. Oh no. Like everyone was there. I had 70% of viewers up until that point, but then a big enough chunk left at that moment to go, all right, well, he just walked away from the painting. I have no idea when he's coming back to the painting. What if he has to do like a whole bunch of stuff in there?
He's on a bathroom break. Justin has to pee. He's gone. I don't want to wait around for him to pee. I'm just going to go on with my business, not his business.
Right, because again, the barrier to exit on this thing is 1 inch just swiping.
What should have the edit been? Should it just cut to the broomstick coming through the wall and don't show the walk back? Would that have been the edit?
Nailed it. Yes, it should have just been like I should have stayed with the painting, handed the broomstick to someone else and said, all right, now this hole right here, the broomstick's going to come out here. Google put it in. And then here's the crazy thing. I could have stood next to that painting for 30 seconds with nothing happening, just with the promise of the broomstick about to pop through, because the viewer wants to see that. And we're standing right in front of the thing where it's going to happen. We see this all the time, maliciously done with building implosion videos. You ever watch a building implosion on the swipe feed? These guys have the footage. They could edit that footage to where the building just explodes. Okay? Like, obviously. Why do I have to watch a minute of, if it's on Instagram or TikTok, why do I have to watch 2 minutes of the building just standing there before it falls down? Well, they're hacking the algorithm. They're saying, no, I need a watch time on this thing because, I can get a high percentage viewed by having a 7-second video. But this is then where you start to look at different platforms. Okay, so now we're getting into the nitty gritty. You pull me back if I need to pull back.
How you do edit differently for different platforms.
So we got two different things. We got watch time and we got watch percent. So I can get a much higher watch percent on a shorter video. So I've got a 1 billion hit video and it's got a 140% watch time. It's only 17 seconds. So that's why people are able to loop it really nicely. It's 17 seconds. It's a cool magic secret changing dress thing. We've seen them at fashion shows. We've seen them on America's Got Talent. And you get to see this thing actually operate. Cool. Not only did most people finish the video, almost half the people watched it more than once. That's what we see the metric as.
Is this the one where the woman is changing her outfits really fast? Is it that video? She goes through like 3 quick changes and you see how she's doing it.
So it's at 1.4 billion views. It's wild. And so you look at that and you go, okay, even though the watch time on that at 140%, I think the watch time would still be, less than 30 seconds. I think it'd be about 30 seconds. That is going to beat the watch time of a 30-second. That's going to beat a 30-second watch time on a 1-minute video, because now we're down to 50% watch time. That's now rough. However, the platforms want their viewers to stay on the platform as long as possible. So you can get so as soon as you get watch times in the 45 seconds or whatever, now it doesn't matter that the watch time isn't over 100%.
I was going to paraphrase what you said. It's like the longer you make your video, you're placing kind of a bigger bet. And the platform respects that you're placing a bigger bet. Like if you're going like, wow, Justin's going for a 5-minute video, even if you don't get people all the way through, they're like, wow, you made a pretty bold bet there. That can have some benefit compared to the shorter bets, which is the short video, where you might require a much higher completion rate.
Right. And sometimes I'll make the wrong bet. So I put 4,000 bouncy balls on my trap door, and I released them, and I wanted to see them all bounce around like crazy in a room. Now, my initial bet was people would really like this and they would watch it for a minute. No, at a certain point, it was just repetitive. And even though it got 1 million views, I was like, no, this was worth double-digit millions. Let me try another edit, and I'll make it 20 seconds instead of a minute. And that was the right bet, because now it's already at 10 million views or whatever. So it's already better. So you go, okay, how much can this idea sustain a viewer? And you've got to just kind of, figure that out. And the truth is actually, if you're doing the right thing, you can sustain a viewer for 20 minutes with one promise. Now, I don't suggest that you do that all the time, because the viewer would rather be happy with the payoff. And the sooner you give it to them, the happier they are. That's why, in my opinion, my short content at 60 seconds is the best way to view the content. It's better than the same concepts that live on other platforms a little bit longer, which brings me to, I don't do the same edit for all platforms. Facebook gets an edit, TikTok gets an edit, YouTube gets an edit, and they're all different. And they're different because whatever the platform is giving you in terms of time, take it.
What would be like the time difference, or just if you were going to describe the edit cut difference?
Facebook is the only platform that has long form in a swipe feed. Great. Love that, because then we can get long form money with swipe feed content. Love that. That's me. I'm swipe feed content. Nobody's ever chosen to watch a Justin Flom video ever. They swipe up and there's my big dumb face. That's how I win. So if I can do that with long form on Facebook, I'm going to take as long as I can with making this still a good piece of content. So Iron Man on Facebook is 4 minutes long, because I'm going to talk a little bit more about the light and his chest piece and things like that. I don't want to drag it out too much, because that's where you start to see diminishing returns. I want to make it as enjoyable as possible for the time that Facebook has determined this is our playing field. And Facebook said our playing field is 3 minutes and up. So take what you can. On TikTok, they've said our playing field is upwards of a minute. So I go for 2 minutes if I can, because TikTok has said, here's the time. You can take up to 10 minutes. So I start with an edit. I do a Facebook edit. And then I copy that. I duplicate it in Final Cut Pro. And I go, all right, time to cut the fat and make this as an enjoyable of an experience as possible for TikTok. And that usually lands around 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, something like that. Then I got to kill some loved ones here. I gotta go in and just take some shots that I adore in this video, and I got to lose them, because I got to get this fat monster down to a 60-second cut. That's hard. But by the time I get to YouTube Shorts, that content is humming. It is humming fast, and it's flying. And then it actually feels slow when I go back and watch the Facebook edit. But that works out, because the youngest viewer is on YouTube, the oldest viewer is on Facebook. So it all evens out, and I think works for each algorithm. And yeah, that's the process.
So we've talked about the opening. We've talked about like the middle, the abyss, not losing people. What about the ending? Is it, if you kept someone for the whole thing, in some ways you've already got kind of the benefits. You've kept them.
Get out
if
of
you're
there.
a creator like you've made
Get
a bunch
out.
of money off that.
Get out as fast as possible. That's the answer. You got to get out.
Is there any responsibility to deliver a satisfying result so they'll come back and want to watch? Or what is the goal besides being as fast as possible?
So when I pay off, I want them to feel satisfied that they got it. So I want it to be good. Also, like, it feels like, oh man, I can just hang out here at the end. Let's show them all different angles of the painting, or let's show then the reaction of my daughters looking at it. And as the problem is, you can't, people have gotten the dopamine hit they wanted and they're gone. That's the problem. So every second you have at the end of your video is taken away from your watch time, because you have to look at it like this. That viewer, it got to the end. You can have them a 100% viewer, or every second you extend that video, the percentage of watch time is going to go down. Now, here's the challenge. The algos are going to shift, and at different times, they're going to prefer time versus percentage. There was a time on Facebook where it was, who cares the percentage? We just want time, watch time. This meant, and this was a real thing, like in 2019, you would do your video, you would pay off the video at 1 minute, and then you'd hang out and talk for like 4 minutes at the end of it. And someone is watching the whole 4 minutes, and enough people were that if you had a good enough watch time up to a minute and a high percentage of people doing that, added in with the people who were just hanging out and not swiping away, because there are some, then you'd end up with a really good watch time. But the platforms are not doing that right now. So could change. As always, these things can change. But right now, percentage watched isn't very important to every single platform. So get out while the getting's good. Everyone got a payoff. Get out of there.
Well, and what is your, a lot of talk obviously over this past year about Taylor Swift tour, her eras, this evolution of her. What has been your evolution? I think the other part that kind of trips people up is, just because you've been successful with one thing doesn't mean you can just keep doing that thing and have the same level of success. So what has been the evolution from, like, really you embrace this, like, really as the pandemic started, right? Like circa 2020, this approach, what has been your evolution since then to 2024?
I really love what I've been able to do. We're coming up on 100 billion global views, just total around all the platforms. It's really wild when you look at it that way. And all of it was anonymous. Like, people don't, I'm not actually that famous. I get recognized a lot when I walk around, and magicians certainly know who I am, because I'm enemy number one in magic right now for revealing magic secrets. I just got on Chris Angel's shit list. That was a fun one this week.
Okay.
He was going to sell me one of his old props, and then he found out what I do, because he doesn't pay attention to the internet really. So he didn't know who I was. Totally fine. But then someone was like, "Hey, that's the guy who tells secrets." And then it was like, "Okay, sign this contract saying you'll never reveal the secret." And I was like, "Oh, can't sign that." And everything fell apart. It was fun. It was great. Chris is actually a really nice guy, and I like him a lot. And I think that he has done the most impressive thing in magic in terms of how much he did in the last 2 decades. But he's a traditional guy. He doesn't want to see magic secrets revealed. I think he's wrong about that. I think people love magic, even if they know the secret, if the secret is interesting. Boy, that's a tangent. Where did I come from?
Just the eras, the evolution, how you're evolving over 4 years. Yes.
So having all of the views relatively anonymously was really great, because I got to explore all of these other cool new things. And I'd encourage creators to do that. Don't dive in and try to get that Logan Paul audience right away, because if I would have done that, I'd be trying to build a magic audience, and I'd be missing out on this fun house that I have with fireman poles and trap doors. I'd be missing out on all of this new painting stuff that I've done. And I just love now getting to create cool pieces of art that just destroy my house. I'd miss out on all of that.
When did the art like come into play? When did you realize? Because I think what you've leveraged, Justin, is like the creative magician's mind as sort of like a creative, experience brainstormer, and then you've applied it in new ways. So was the art your most recent like evolution of a lot of the kind of like multi-layered art and multi-dimensional art that you do?
So the house is the most recent evolution. That I really put the pedal to the metal on the house starting in fall of last year.
Okay, which is basically you are doing all kinds of interesting, crazy things to your house to make the house that you actually live in your fun house. That's been the most recent.
We've got 3 or 4 different secret passageways, more to come. We've got a trapdoor, a foam pit, a trampoline room. We've got this spring snakes thing out of the wall. It's crazy. That's one of my most recent YouTube shorts. Check that one out. And then prior to that, the art came in the mid 2021. So it's been a couple of years now, but I didn't jump on it immediately because it almost missed me. I was getting, look, the views were just so crazy over on Facebook back at that time.
And you were like really one of the beneficiaries of like this like pandemic. What are people doing with their time? They're exploring more things digitally. You were part of all of the people who kind of figured out how that might work in a business format.
Me and my buddy, a guy named Rick Lax, so he has a company called Network Media, and he represents a lot of creators who do this on social media, kind of with this style of like, hey, nobody cares about me as a person. I just got to create good content. And he and I had a discussion, March 14th, right, during shutdown. We probably weren't supposed to be talking to each other in person, but there we were, and we're like, we could take off we could do a vacation for the first time in our lives because we're both workaholics. We both love doing what we do, and we've never taken days off. Or we could buckle down just one last time really hard and do a video every single day because all of the production companies are shut down. Movie studios are shut down. Even 5-Minute Crafts is shut down. We can finally get out ahead of 5-Minute Crafts. Here we go. And that's what we did. So I did videos starting March 14th every single day, all the way up through the end of 2020. That was the first time I'd ever done something like that. And the first month was $40,000. Whoa, that's crazy. I've never made $40,000 on the internet. The next month, $80,000. Holy, whoa, what is this? And this is all Facebook money. And then the next month it doubled again. And look, at one point we did a $1 million month. I did. That's insane. So with the views being as high as they were, I missed a lot of concepts because I was just moving.
You were going for just productivity and quantity and leveraging what you have. You weren't spending a lot of time thinking about a really long payoff video.
I was only looking forward. I was inventing new magic tricks presented in new ways. I invented recipes for cooking. I had a new way of exploding milk for your cereal. And I invented a donut cake, and then I did this painting stuff, and we were just looking forward getting all of these views. Then when that slowed down on the Facebook side, I was like, hey, these painting things did millions of views. Let me try that again, but instead of on canvas, because really what happened is the canvases stopped working. A painting on canvas didn't work. Okay, what's wrong there? Oh, it's a big white square as the opening shot, and we've seen that. All right, what if I start with smashing a hole in my wall? Tom and Jerry, which is, I think, somewhere in 2022, Tom and Jerry with a hole in the wall, where I smashed a hole in the wall with a hammer, and I was like, here's how you fix a hole, and I painted Tom and Jerry around it. That changed everything. In fact, an insider told me that Mr. Beast and his team, I don't know if it was Jimmy himself, but someone in his team actually scripted that video out for reference of, oh wow, I got fireworks here. What's going
there
on?
you go. This is when the idea hits you, what it is. It just goes. Yeah.
So they scripted out the video, and they could see how analytical every single shot and piece of timing was. And they even called me an NPC. They understood, oh, this guy's doing this totally anonymously. He doesn't need his brand or his agenda in here. And they called it the greatest YouTube short that's ever been made. Wow, that's really nice. Because they just were able to see this is oddly satisfying to watch. And this is, it re-engages the viewer right at the moment of threshold where we're kind of bored of the painting, and then has a good payoff. It's clever. It's kind of a punchline, shareable, blah, blah, blah. That one changed everything, and then kind of just changed my trajectory. And suddenly I was like, all right, let's do that. Now we have a product where we're going to sell these stencils to kids so that they can do it in stores coming up this October. I'm so stoked about it.
And is that if I was going to give the sort of the Justin Flom timeline, it was sort of the like kind of reinvent, redo magic tricks, reveal sort of the secrets of some magic. Then it was the rise of the sort of art period and doing kind of clever ways of multi-dimensional art that have an interesting hook and payoff. And then it was the house and the home and expanding that and using that. Are those the three eras, or did I miss anything in there?
Yes. They're even more nuanced if you want to know. I mean, we started with bar bets, these little puzzles, because during pandemic, everyone was at home. So the very first thing we did is, here's something you can do with grandma. And we saw that on TikTok with like whipped cream on the back of the hand where you'd launch it into your mouth. People loved anything that you could do as a family. And that was, that was pandemic, very beginning. And then pretty soon it became, all right, let's do stuff in public where things are embarrassing in public. Okay. And then it wasn't until the end of 2020 where I was like, all right, I want to reveal a magic trick. Okay. There's that. And then 21, we end up in, I was doing 8 videos a day with the team that I had here in Las Vegas. And all the videos were live streamed on Facebook. All the videos were crazy long, and they were weird, like the strangest concepts ever, because I was in like this Andy Kaufman like sketch period. And it was really fun. It was the best ever. The money was amazing. But the sketch writing was really wild. This is a more nuanced look at it, of course. But my wife, Anna, she was writing these really wild ideas. Like, what if we had a wedding and it was crashed by a pregnant lady who was like, that's the father of my baby. And we're going to, stuff like that. She was writing based off of Jerry Springer stuff. And then we would do a sketch comedy version of that. And we made it social media style, where it was like, okay, we've got a friend of a friend who's going to pretend she's a baby mama. So we're going to show the pregnant belly being put on. And then so it was very meta, and it was on Meta. So it makes sense where we're scripting a sketch.
I see. It sounds like big production, a lot of time, a lot of people involved.
Yeah, a lot of people.
What did you evolve from that into?
So when that went away, it went away because suddenly that was a group of all of us being creators. And as it became more important to do more videos, then all of us creators were like, well, we got to do this alone because I can't help you with your video. I got 3 more videos to do today. So we all, separated out. And then suddenly we're all doing stuff in our kitchens. And then it became the DIY stuff. Now, my wife, she was creating, and now she's all cooking. Same with my sister, who does the job as well. Me, that's when I went, time to paint. And I was able to supplement cast members by just making it about the project I was doing. And the painting led way to secret passageways and the house and all that. And really what's expanded now is bringing my daughters into it and doing this more family fun thing. And now my daughters come to me with ideas. And Haven, my 7-year-old, she's like, hey, I want to pull out my tooth this way. And we pull up YouTube videos and watching other kids pull out teeth. And she's competitive like me. And she's like, we can do way better than this.
To make it to the end here, I was going to ask you, what is the next evolution for you? Is there any other ideas you're toying around with, other things you're thinking about, little hints of things to come?
The fun thing is when you get the views, like, so I was number 2. I was number 1 a couple weeks ago on YouTube, most viewed US creator. Wow, it's crazy. Then you get some phone calls from like money people, and they're like, hey, what do you want to do if you had money to do it? So now we're looking at, okay, do we want to do a game show? Do we want to, like, I have some really cool ideas of what is next. The idea board is so full. There are so many cool things because I just get to be a big kid. I get to go, what if we had so I've got really tall ceilings above me. What if we had a tightrope across there, or a slack line? And what if we put in a net below it and you could just jump off things? Like, I just get to have crazy ideas and make them happen. So there's going to be more crazy stuff in the house. I think we're going to let people from the public come to the house sometimes, maybe take part in some of the crazy stuff. And I have a house in Minnesota. I might start doing crazy stuff to that house too. I don't know. We'll see. It's wild.
Do you think all of those things, is it that you are, social medium, these platforms are your medium, or do you start getting lots of other things at a certain point where like, oh, do you want to do a TV show or another platform or a thing? Or do you think like, no, those are all distractions, focus on your core area?
It's so interesting. Even as you're saying that, my algorithm in my brain is going, nobody cares about you, Justin. Stay on something that can up the watch time of this thing. Don't talk about yourself and your own desires. Like, that's the way that your brain starts to work when you think of it in that way. But the truth is, I'm going to stay. I like doing what I'm doing. And if I can make money from social media and continue to fund these silly ideas, I'm into it. I think the next step is I want to give the public the same ability, not to make videos and stuff like that, because I don't think truly most people want that. There's a select few crazy people like us who are like, yeah, we want to do that. What's the work? Great, I'm in. I want to give people the ability to do these silly things at their own house. So if I've got an exploding safe that hides behind a picture frame, let me give that to the public. So I've got some pretty interesting original gags, if you will.
I see, in ways that you kind of make it. And that's why you said like, oh, you might have stencil art that the stencils you can use yourself, or other ways to sort of bring what you've experienced.
That's the first one. Look, so I've got a stage behind me. This is my house. Just above me is a rappelling system so that you can come down from the ceiling. It's really crazy, but I grew up this way. My dad had a stage in his basement, and there was 3 secret passageways in my childhood home in Minnesota, because my dad was a carpenter. Not by trade, but he just, he knew what he was doing. He built the stuff. And it was the best way to grow up. It was the most fun. So there's a lot of knowledge I have in what it's like to be a high schooler and to invite friends over and have something impossible happen that nobody was expecting because you're in somebody's house. That's the stuff I really like. So I want to give to you, hey, what if I told you could float in somebody's Instagram picture? And it's just a thing that you can purchase. And it's not a magic trick, because everyone is going to know the secret except for the people watching on social media who don't. It's not when you start to think about magic or entertainment or DIY builds in a different way, then new doors really open up, and I want to open up those doors for the public. I don't know if that's too esoteric or mysterious, but
it makes a ton of sense. And I want to actually, it's a good way of framing up how I want to end our time together, which is I want to do a quick lightning round and just some things, and then one final question. The quick lightning round is just, what is like, Justin Flom, favorite video you've done of all time? What's your personal favorite?
My daughter painting on the wall and then it becoming Mickey Mouse painting it.
Most watched video of time. What was it and how many views?
It's a quick change. It's cool magic secret of a dress that changes 3 times, 1.4 billion views.
Most money you've ever made in a month. What video was it and how much money did you make?
There's 2 answers for this. Cumulatively, over a ton of videos, my biggest month was $1 million month. But I do have one video that over the course of time has generated $500,000, and it's a painting on a hoodie using pendulum paint and a spinning hoodie. It's a crazy thing.
Average income generated from all of your platforms, what is it on a typical month from this creation work that you do?
Gosh, that is rough. It is just so all over the place. It's hard to keep that rapid fire.
So what is low month versus high month? What's the range on that in typical month?
A low month is rough. If we're at $30,000 cumulatively, we've had a really bad month, and we have hit those bad months. We try to cross 6 figures. My monthly goal is 6 figures a month. That's what we want. As long as we crack 100. We're doing the right thing.
Most admired creator on that you see, not yourself, that you look to for inspiration.
Video editing style, Casey Neistat. Love that guy. The conceptual thinking, Mark Rober. Someone
on social media who is under the radar now, but you think is doing great stuff and is gonna blow up. That you would bet on that.
Yeah, there's this guy named Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I see big things for him ahead.
You think so? He might do some things out there. Okay, fair enough. And finally, final thing, if you could help all the people out there that want to have your level of success or something like it, and you only have 30 seconds to give them the thing that's going to change their future and creating content, enjoying it, maybe making it a business, maybe making a career. You got 30 seconds. What would you try to impart to them as your bit of wisdom?
Come close right here. I'm gonna talk right here.
I'm gonna move my mic here. Okay, here we go. I'm listening.
Just start. You're gonna be bad for a while, and you just gotta start. Okay, you got to put in a decade into anything that you do. The reason that Justin Bieber is good so young is he started so young. Okay, so just start. Your first videos are going to be really bad. You're going to learn everything just by starting. Don't think about it. Just start posting. Don't be precious. The Beatles did not write Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band knowing it was going to be the greatest album of all time, and it is. They wrote it just because that was their day. That was what they were writing that day. Only time will tell when something is great. So don't waste time, just start. That's the answer. Okay, well, there you have it from Justin Flom. Few people have the type of views, audience that you do. Sounds like you've figured out the formula, but then you keep evolving the formula and finding the new and exciting thing. Thank you so much for joining us on Break the Internet, and we can't wait to see how you break the internet next. Thank you, Ben.